the latter part of the 80s, I was working at Air Canada, and my dear Liddy friend, my friend Liddy, comes to me because she knows how much I love Shirley MacLaine, because I was reading everything, everything anybody that was, in the new age and coming out, because I couldn't share it with anybody. I was there in the 60s and 70s. Nobody was talking like what I was doing. Now Shirley MacLaine was bringing it mainstream, and even then they were making fun of her, right? Of her reincarnation theory and all that, or her belief in it. And so she brought me this book, and the cover was Shirley. She thought, this is why I should have the book. So I read the article, and then I saw another article, and it talked about abundance, consciousness of abundance, how you had to be, or what you had to think, how you had to, project yourself to get it, to attract it into your life. And I read the article, and it resonated so much with me. And I thought, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy, is for real. And I look at the author, and it was Douglas Cottrell. And I realized it said there that he was, he lived in London, and he gave readings the style of Edgar Cayce. Now, in my searching, of course I read about Edgar Cayce. I was, The Sleeping Prophet, Jess Stern. My God, I loved the guy. Read his books, all of them. And it was amazing. And all of a sudden, Douglas Cottrell in London, Ontario. I said, "Are you kidding me?" Immediately, I was at work. I wasn't supposed to do it. Immediately, because I was working at Air Canada and I was, reservations, right? So I was on the phone. Immediately I called because there was a number. I couldn't believe this. So I called immediately, and I got Karen. And I said, I understand I can get a read. Yes. And she says, I said, I want one right away. And she said, well, interesting enough, we're coming to Toronto in 2 days. I said, well, book me in. And that was my first reading with Doug. I was so excited because from the time I had read Yogananda's book and all my years alone in the darkness, trying to find the light by myself and my soul, finally I was going to meet a person that I could ask some questions that maybe could answer me. These questions are eternal questions, are deep questions, are important questions to me. Not, will I be a millionaire next, when, or, next year, or what, or whenever, but just such deep and important soul questions. And so 2 days later, I went. It was somewhere in south of the Danforth, by Carlisle, I think, or Broadview, I can't remember. Beautiful old home. And I went there, and I was greeted by Karen, very gentle lady, and Doug. And I remember they had their daughter, Sherry, on the couch and in the other room. And I was so impressed, that they were looking after this beautiful child, this beautiful soul, who most people would have put in an institution or a hospital somewhere. And anyway, they got settled. Doug went into a different conscious level, and I started to ask questions. And basically, what I wanted to know, because my children were so important, and because I wanted to create a happy home, and whatever else, I tried for myself what I got from within to do. But I knew there was other things that I could do, so that's what I was asking. I wanted to know our past relationships. What were their relationship to each other? What did they come here to learn? What did I come here to do? What is my karma? Am I doing it? Whatever, my husband and I, our relationship, what lifetimes, did we have together? My God, it was fabulous. The things that Doug said were outstanding to me because they resonated with my soul. There's something inside said yes, because not only was there stories he told about each of our lives that were interesting and different, but they actually resonated with what was happening now. I could see that issues that were then are issues that are now. How did he know? He doesn't know me from Adam. He hasn't got a clue who I am, right? So it was amazing. And it was at the latter part of the 80s when I was going through a lot of hardships. And it was really revealing to me. And I can tell you, when I asked him, though, something that took later, I asked him, why was I born? Why was I born? And am I doing this? Am I, fulfilling this? And this is what he told me. He said, you were born to bring hope. He said, first to the self, meaning me, and then to women. You will be an example to women. You will guide them, you will free them, you will inspire them. You will free them from economic problems, husband problems, like imprisonments, of, ideologies of husbands, or, divorces, I would think, because he was talking in a very not ancient, but old way. Like he would say, the self, being you first have to bring hope to yourself, and then you will be an example and inspire and bring hope to women. And I'm thinking, okay, that I couldn't relate to it. This is 1988. I was in the middle of financial ruin, matrimonial disaster, so many responsibilities and duties. I couldn't see how I would be an example to anybody, least alone myself. I was just trying to keep body and soul together. And but I listened. I took it in. I thought that was beautiful. But how possible? How could it be possible? So this is how you have to now, in your life, you have to look, now that I'm this age, looking back, I couldn't believe it. I cannot believe what I was told then. So I went back a few times, 3 times actually, and where my husband and I were concerned, it showed lives that were very effective of what happened then to now, and our relationship, the dynamics between us, the way one felt about the other, the problems, how the ideology, it was exact to what was now. Exact. And the problems were the exact, we carried it. It was unbelievable. I realized that hope was so powerful because I didn't have any, and how important. And I kept remembering it all along. I kept referring to what Doug had said. I was supposed to bring hope to me. So all of a sudden, I did fight. I went to see the man. He got me my job back. When I got it back, I felt like $1 million. I felt so joyous. I said, because for 10 years I didn't know what joy was. I said, I will never, ever not be happy again. Unless something terrible happens to my children, there's no reason for me not. I got what I wanted back, and I got that hope. That's all I needed. But what it made me realize is that hope was such an incredible quality that people could not miss. I went through but I needed to go through the dark hour of the soul. We all, if we're on a spiritual path, the dark hour of the soul has to happen to us. I went through it. I came out the other side. I now had my little job back, which wasn't a lot of money, but what it gave me, the opportunity, the thing I thought, one day I'll experience. I was still in the middle of fixing things and doing things and trying to get out of, but I got it back. And I'll tell you now, 99% of my clients are women. And these women, selling real estate is just incidental. Usually they're drawn to me because they have major problems, divorces, single parents, lack of money, mental issues, emotional issues, religious I guess in their religion sometimes they're, kept like in the Muslim tradition. And Doug did tell me that I would be very involved with I couldn't believe it then, because the only Muslim I knew was my mother-in-law. And now I have like a whole community, friendship. I mean, it's incredible. And reading about the Sufi masters, I adore that part of the Muslim tradition. Anyway, the point of the whole thing is that now I'm the one bringing a lot of women, hope. And when they tell me their little stories, because of what I went through, in 20 minutes, I said, that's all you're bringing? Don't worry. In 30 minutes, I've got it all worked out. This is what we're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. Before you know it, I help them. They're on their way. They're moving. Because I've seen it all. You name anything, and I could tell you I've experienced it. In the material world, the spiritual world was one thing, but the material world, what I didn't go through. So now it helps me in my business.